Ever since the Black Ops series crossed paths with the new Modern Warfare reboots, there's been a ton of speculation on whether or not Black Ops 2 would remain canon or not based on the difference in technology seen between the two series within the franchise. Well, today I'm here to say with the marketing season for the new Black Ops 6 in full swing, we can finally definitively put this debate to rest. But before we get into that, I'd like to quickly announce the winner to our Black Ops 6 Vault Edition giveaway. User Von List Gaming over on Twitter will be in contact with you shortly to get you your free Vault Edition. And as always, if you want to be entered into any future giveaways on the channel, be sure to go ahead and follow COD Lorefacts on Twitter. And with that, we're back to the video. So like I was saying before, it's been a point of contention in the COD community for a couple of years now on whether or not Black Ops 2, with all its futuristic endeavors, could remain untouched in the wider current Call of Duty universe. If you didn't already know, Modern Warfare 2019 began an effort to combine these two main universes into one cohesive one, starting out with small connections like the introduction of the Nova Gas and the ongoing Warzone narrative at the time, and eventually to the point where we had connections between the Zakhaevs and Perseus, with the former even directly crossing over into Black Ops Cold War's campaign in 2020. Though despite all this, many within the online COD sphere would remain puzzled on how the later Black Ops games, and especially Black Ops 2, would weave into the current narrative in a way that would make sense. Many cited the overall lack of quote-unquote futuristic technology in the Modern Warfare games as evidence that Black Ops 2 and beyond would be deemed non-canon, or at least self-contained to its own respective timeline. Now, however, with the newest bits of marketing for Black Ops 6, we now can say for certain that Black Ops 2 is indeed still canon, as with a recent update to Warzone, players have started to randomly see a new cutscene within the infill sequence that shows none other than Frank Woods. The cutscene is brief, only lasting for a few seconds before returning to the normal infill scene. However, in it, Woods discusses having intel on a mole they've been hunting. Not only this, but you can clearly see Woods is actually in a wheelchair in this cutscene, indicating that the iconic Black Ops 2 campaign mission, Suffer With Me, the one where Menendez kneecaps Woods with a SPAS 12, still happens within the current Black Ops timeline. Not only that, but going back to what Woods was saying in the cutscene, if you'll remember that the existence of moles within the CIA was actually a pretty important part of the 1980s segment of the Black Ops 2 campaign. In multiple missions throughout the past segments of the game, you're able to find evidence of these moles through interrogating Kravchenko and finding a CIA memo that the Menendez cartel is actually in possession of, with all this accumulating with the reveal in the Suffer With Me mission of Hudson being one of these moles unwillingly and acting on orders from Menendez, which leads to the potential death of Mason, Woods getting kneecapped, and eventually Hudson's own death after sacrificing himself to save the lives of Woods and David Mason. Now, like I said, Hudson himself was a mole against his own will, but as of this mission, the CIA is still compromised with actual real moles who are working against the US from within of their own volition, which will presumably play a large part of the story we'll see play out in Black Ops 6's campaign, with Adler himself potentially even actually being one of these moles, although I personally think it's more likely that Adler has been framed by whoever is actually working against our team in this game, and I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. Now, that's all well and good confirmation of the canonicity of the past segments of Black Ops 2, but what about the future segments of this game that occur in 2025? Are those still canon as well? That seems to be the biggest question that the community has had for the longest time now, and I believe we finally have our answer, and that it's yes. The futuristic portion of Black Ops 2 is still canon. Now, I hear a lot of you asking how that could possibly be. Well, in the marketing for Black Ops 6, despite the vast majority of it playing off of real-life historical figures in the United States and abroad, and the first Iraq War, there's been one thing that stood out to me the most, and it's this government seal that is present within almost every single teaser we've gotten from this game so far. And despite it being mostly obscured aside from a word or two, if you piece it together via the different angles we've seen of this seal and trailers and whatnot, you'll get the words Advanced Technology and Applications, and across the bottom of the seal it also seems to say United States, which makes sense considering the Capitol building is present at the dead center of it as well, meaning that in full this is the United States Department of Advanced Technology and Applications. Now, in my opinion, the words advanced technology really speak for itself when paired alongside how directly connected this game's plot seems to be with the rest of the Black Ops 2 campaign, with this being a direct allusion to all the futuristic technology we saw in that game. The Walker glove, tanks, the nano gloves, invisibility cloaks, the list goes on. And the craziest part of this, in my mind, is the seemingly overt implication here of not only do we have all that stuff and more in 2025, but in actuality, the research and development of such technologies have been going on in the US since the 1990s, and perhaps could even play a critical role in this story. It really just depends on how big a role this group plays in Black Ops 6. I even think it's possible that this group could potentially have something to do with whoever the villain of this game actually ends up being, because of the overt connection Treyarch have made between this department and the US itself, when paired with the theme they're going for in the marketing of exposing inner corruption within higher branches of the US government. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the case. Even with Modern Warfare 3, throughout its life cycle we've seen multiple weapons and kill streaks such as the Guardian and the Hunter-Killer drone that even further bridge the gaps between these two games as we inch closer to getting back into that semi-futuristic era of the franchise, which all said really adds to the overall idea that Black Ops 2 is firmly here to stay, with all its futuristic goodness among the rest of the entries in the Black Ops saga. Now, for the closing notes of this video, I also want to take the time to point out that I honestly think we as a community should have seen this coming. Treyarch and Raven have been pretty open, especially during the lead up to Black Ops Cold War, in how these newer Black Ops games still fit together with the rest of the other games. In an interview, the writers even outright stated this, saying that Black Ops 2, 3, and 4 would remain canon. And on the Treyarch website, they actually have an official timeline detailing how all these games fit together. Even beyond this, in Black Ops Cold War, we got multiple references and indicators that showed how the newer games were still geared in that specific direction of keeping the plot of Black Ops 2 integral, with multiple mentions and setup of Menendez and his cartel, alongside operators such as Stryker, who is said to be part of a classified program focused on future warfare. And while these things alone aren't exactly explicit confirmation of anything, together they paint a picture of the direction that this franchise is headed in. And I feel like all this and more will be reciprocated in the Black Ops 6 reveal showcase coming this Sunday, June 9th.